can hear it, something in your headphones maybe. Hello everyone, welcome to LLK number, I can't even believe it, 61. I am Laura Nelkin, I'm a knitwear designer. I live in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region, and I am joined by my alter ego Lola. Lola is funnier than I am. She can be a little bit spicy. We'll see if she comes out of her box or not tonight. I have tons to tell you. Some of you have watched many of my lives and you know how these work. Others of you, welcome. This might be your first time joining us live or you are watching this later. Because I know not everybody gets to watch live with us, I try to make these really fun to watch afterwards as well. So while we're live, there is chat happening and I have it kind of off to the side here. I will try not to be looking over there and answering questions as I'm talking, but as I get to the end of things, I'll ask if there's any questions and I'll look over there quickly to see if there are any. At the end of the live, I will say, are there any questions? And if you have any, you can leave one in that section, just type it into the chat and I'll look over and answer them. If you see somebody else ask a question in the chat and you know the answer, by all means, jump right into that. At the end of this live, I will give you links below in the notes for everything I talk about, but those links are not there now. So some of you watching right now might be like, how do I find that? Where's that? I'll get that all to you afterwards. It takes me about like a half hour after the live is over to get those all together. In the very beginning, I'm looking over just to make sure you all can hear me. I see that someone is here from Shetland. That is very exciting. I know I'm not supposed to read the live, but if you want to introduce yourselves and say where you're coming in from, that is always really fun for me to see. I watch these afterwards and read through the chat so I can see what everybody's saying. It's fun for you all to see where everybody is coming in from as well. I have so much to tell you about tonight. One of the biggest things I have to tell you about is our mystery knit along that is starting on October 3rd, and that is going to release tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time with kits. So I will be telling you about the mystery knit along. I'm also going to do a bit of a deep dive into Luceta, which is this necklace that I'm wearing that I made with a Lucet. And I want to show you the differences if you make it with a Lucet or make it with knitting needles or make it with an I-cord tool, which I figured out how to do. So that'll kind of be like a tutorial under the camera. I'm also going to talk with you about what I am knitting, like what's currently off my needles, what is on my needles right now. We'll talk about that mystery knit along. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, some travel stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about sewing because I finally got my sewing mojo, my sojo back. And so I have a pile of fabric over here to share with you and get ideas for patterns and tell you what I've been working on. I love sewing so much and it's fun when I kind of find my way back to it again. And then I'll talk about what I am reading and watching and listening to and eating, and then I'll kind of wrap it up. So that is our agenda for the evening. I hope everybody has some knitting. Sometimes what I notice happens is people are very active on the chat in the beginning of a live, and then as I start talking, y'all sink into your knitting a little bit and you're not chatting as much on there, so that is fine. Have a drink, a bevy of choice, whether it be alcoholic or not. I have a big rule for Lola about not drinking while she does a live. For those of you who've been watching lives with me for a while, you will remember there were a few lives during the pandemic where Bella would bring me a drink halfway through the live. We just needed it to get through it, but I have rules about that. I just think I keep myself a little bit more together. So what should we jump right in with? Do you want to just jump right in with the mystery knit along and talk about that first and then go on from there? I think that is what we should do. So let's talk about our next mystery knit along. For the last 15-ish years, I have been doing mystery knit alongs with you. I would say I'm not as regular There's some designers who always do one in the spring and always do one in the fall. They kind of have like a really regular schedule. I miss doing mystery knit-alongs are like an extra thing for me on top of all the club designing that I do. So I tend to look at my schedule and decide when something is going to fit in. And last year I did a cowl mystery knit-along for Cowltober, which is our celebrations of cowls in October. And it was so fun to do like a small, accessible, like less than 500 yard mystery knit-along that I decided to do the same thing again this year. So we're going to be knitting a mystery cowl in October. Our first clue comes out October 3rd, and it is called Cowltopus Mystery Knit-Along. Last year, we did a mystery knit-along that celebrated the owl, and this year we are doing a mystery knit-along that celebrates the octopus. And what I can promise you about this mystery knit-along is that you are not going to be knitting something that has like 8 dangling legs. You're not knitting a cowl that then you can wear on Halloween to cosplay Octopus, right? That's not what we're doing. We're also not knitting something that has an Intarsia octopus on it. But all of the knitting really will like mimic the life and experience of an octopus. And I think that you all saw with the cowl mystery knit-along that it was similar in that way. We celebrated the owl, but we did not put a bunch of owls onto our cowl. That was like very rhymey. I'm so proud of myself right now. So this year's Cowltopus, the pattern will launch tomorrow with a pre-clue at 11 a.m. Eastern time with kits. I worked with Susie from Fiber MacGyver again, and if you would like to get a kit for a mystery knit-along, we did kits last year. They went great. They sold out very, very quickly. We tried to dye more of every color this year. We have to anticipate a little bit which colors we think are going to be more popular than others, but there are a limited number of kits, and those will go live at 11 a.m. Eastern time as well. So I'll be sending out an email I'll send it out at 10:58 because it takes about 5 minutes to get through the queue. And that email will have all the links in it to the kits, to the pattern. If you get my emails, there's going to be an extra super special discount code in the email that is just for email subscribers. So you want to make sure that you are on my list to get that email. The pattern will be discounted to everybody automatically, but there's an extra special little treat for newsletter subscribers, which I'm pretty excited about. So Cowltopus, I was asked a little bit how to pronounce it, and I think about it like hippopotamus, but Cowltopus. They sound similar but different. There's a fun song we'll play at some point that kind of reminds me of Cowltopus. I have a collection of books and movies if people are interested in doing a read along together or a watch along. An obvious watch along is that classic James Bond Octopussy. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, so it needs to be purchased on YouTube or Amazon Prime, but I'll try to get you resources for that. Also found some really fun books. One of the books that I just started listening to is Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery, and I've been kind of saving this book to start listening to. And in the first chapter, I learned that that we want to say octopi when we're saying multiple octopuses, but octopus is a Greek word, and putting an I on the end of a plural is a Latin word ending. So saying octopuses or perhaps octopodes is okay, but I read about it even more this morning, and it turns out it's okay to say octopuses, octopi, or octopodes. So there's going to be no policing whichever way you say it. I do the video that we did for the pre-clue that is going to launch tomorrow that'll tell you a lot about like the needles you're going to need and the yardage of yarn and how colors work in the mystery knit along. At the end of it, I actually police myself and I'm kind of like correcting myself, but now I know that I didn't need to say that. So this book is what I'm going to be listening to. If you have never read Remarkably Bright Creatures, I would say this is the book that you should read. This is one book that I read last year or the year before, and when I finished it, I was like almost a little bit sad because I knew I didn't get to read it again. You know, books like that are just like so good and so with you that you finish them and you're like, wow, I never get to read that for the first time again. So I know I'll reread this again at some point. I'm not sure if it will be this fall or not, but it's going to be very fun to see what you all think. Soul of an Octopus is free on Audible if you have an Audible subscription. So it's not free because you need to have a subscription. And there, I just read the comments and I'm not supposed to do that. Do you guys want to see some of the kits? So Susie and I designed 8 kits in total for the mystery knit along, and I have just a few with the octopus that inspired them to kind of tease you a little bit so that you know what is coming tomorrow, but this is not all of them. So this first one right here is the blanket octopus kit, and the blanket octopus is a very small octopus that lives deep in the depths. That's me being super deep, the depths of the ocean. And it's quite elusive and I believe also quite dangerous. So this kit has one main color that is one solid skein and then 4 contrasting color minis. Tomorrow's video is going to explain much more about the yarn and colors and how those work together. This next one is the blue ringed octopus, and this one has 8 minis of it. 4 of them are a gradient solid and 4 of them are a gradient variegated, and they play against each other. This one is going to be so beautiful. I cannot wait to see that one being knit up. This one right here is the coconut octopus. Isn't he cute, that little coconut octopus? So he's got that little blue down kind of at the bottom there of his leg. So we kind of like riffed off of that blue and then got all of those like yummy bricks in there that he has. And this guy right here is the one that I knit my first Cowltopus out of, and this is the giant Pacific octopus. So you can see the solids are a blue gradient, and then the contrast color, the variegateds, are a gradient of like that rust and orange. And I love the way blue and rust play off of each other. And then this last one here is called Wonderpus, and Wonderpus is so fun. Isn't he pretty? It turns out that there's a lot of orange octopuses out there, and we were not going to do every kit with orange, but certainly we kept wanting to be like, but this one needs a little orange if we're really going for the orange and the octopuses. But we controlled ourselves, didn't use it in every kit, although I'd be fine with that because that's like one of my signature colors. One of my testers, Lois, I saw that you were here in the chat, is knitting Cowltopus with that Wonderpus kit, and it is so freaking pretty. The other tester, Susie, who's also here, is knitting hers in football octopus, which I do not have a photo of right here. I tried to save some for tomorrow. I affectionately call that one sports ball octopus because you know me and my football. It's basically all just sports ball to me. I don't know how you choose, but what I will say about this mystery knit along is it is a quickie. You know Lola loves a good quickie. Morning, noon, and night. Oh my God. How did I just say that? So it's 400 yards, less than 400 yards of yarn to knit this. So some of you might find that within the clue, you have time to do 2 clue number 1s before clue number 2 launches. So you might decide to get more than 1 kit. Because it's only 400 yards, it's a great gift knit, really fun gift knit. And I think you guys are going to love wearing this winter. I'm like already like, can we get to the end of October so we can all see it? You didn't see it. This is DK weight yarn. All of that like really yardage information. It is DK just like last year. Sorry, I didn't say that. One thing is somebody I'm sure in this chat has asked about Stitch Saver, or if there's going to be like 8 lengths of Stitch Saver being used. This pattern uses no Stitch Saver for once in my life, like once in the last forever. Someone else wants to know why my shirt has jellyfish on it and not octopuses. And that is because I'm going to just show you some of this fabric now because it just goes with right now. I ordered the most amazing octopus fabric and it didn't get here until the day after we filmed the pre-clue. So this weekend I get to sew this fabric into like a shirt tunic and I am so excited to do that. Isn't it fun? It's like big and bold and it's still a little jellyfishy, but I choose to see an octopus. Don't cancel me for wearing a jellyfish shirt tonight instead of an octopus shirt. The other fabric I got is more like an underwater exploration, and I'm hoping I like this. I'm a little worried it might be like a little kind of obvious and infantile, but I think it's going to make a really fun little tunic shirt to wear this winter, which is pretty sweet. You know that I love to do sews to go with my mystery knit-alongs. Last year I had lots of shirts with owls on them. I'm just going to drop this on the I don't want to drop it on the floor because I might need it later. I'm also making a bathing suit that I just have to finish putting the elastic in. And yes, that does have a jellyfish on it. Didn't I cut that quite perfectly? Really, what I'm super proud of on this is I got that narwhal right on my bum, which I was chatting with my friend's mom and trying to cut this just the way I wanted it. So this bathing suit, I'll have to find you the link for it. I think it's the Sandpiper bathing suit by Helen's Closet. And look at the top. I got the octopus right in the center of the top. So I've already sewed one of these last year as kind of a muslin, and this is my second one. And swimming season is not done yet. This is a swimsuit. It's a top and a bottom. I saw somebody wondering if I was showing my undies on YouTube, which will get you canceled, I think, on YouTube. So these are almost done. I'm sure those will get finished this weekend. And the other thing that is octopus related, since we're staying in the octopus theme, is I got this canvas printed at Spoonflower, and it's got these awesome tentacles on it, and I'm going to use it as the front on a sandhill sling. And it might be easier to show you this under the camera right here if I can get it. This is the Sandhill Sling by Noodlehead, and I was thinking that I would use the tentacle fabric not all over. I think I'm going to use like a solid here and around the sides, but just this pocket right here I was thinking would be really fun if it was like the tentacles coming up. So in my dream world, I will have that done for Ireland, and I leave for Ireland in like 3-ish weeks. I think right around 3 weeks. So I feel like I have scheduled myself so that I do get some fun sewing time before I leave for Ireland, because we all have different things that we do before we travel, and I stress sew because I like to have kind of like new things when I travel, and I think it would be very fun to have a octopus bag when I'm on the Aran Islands. Don't you think? So that's happening, maybe. And you know what? If I don't get it done, it's not like one of my clubs or something where I don't deliver, and I always deliver. Like clubs go out on time, they launch on time. We're gonna go into that. I see some people are throwing around some octopus puns. There are so many octopus puns coming your way that I almost didn't want to like overdo it in the live, because when you watch the video tomorrow and then you read the listing on Ravelry, they are so funny. So we've been cracking up. Get it? Cracking up, because I'm a sucker for a good MKAL. Let's see what else we could talk about next. Let's just talk about all the other stuff I've been knitting. And then at the end of this, I'll ask if there's any questions. But since I know that video is coming out tomorrow that's going to tell you in depth about Cowltopus, I'm not going to worry too much about details right now. This is just fun. It's getting you excited. I'm very excited. I can't wait to be knitting it with you all. I'm going to knit one with you, actually. I'm going to knit one in the blanket colorway, that blanket colorway, which was the first one that I showed you, this one right here. I'm going to knit blanket, and I've never done that before during a mystery knit along where I'm knitting one at the same time with you, because they're normally so big that I kind of can't like invest into knitting another of this like big 1,200 yard thing. But I can knit another cowl in Cowltober with you for sure, especially because I know for me it's like a night and a half of knitting to do a clue. The testers right now, they've been taking about like 2 days for each clue, but I know they're very fun to knit. So I'm sure they're like chiming in on the chat right now. Other stuff I've been knitting off my needles for a while now is September Lola's Choice kit. For those of you who don't know, Lola's Choice is my small knitted kit club. That club ships kits every other month. So there was one shipped in July and the next one ships in September. And we have it scheduled to print labels on Sunday when my teen is here helping me. I have a teen working for me right now on the weekends. And then it will go out Tuesday morning because Monday is Labor Day in the States. So I'm very excited. This is a kit where we're going to all get a little bit messy together. It's very DIY from start to finish. I got a little behind the scenes sneak peek for you where you can't really see anything at all about what we're making, but I will tell you that I climbed a hay bale for you for the photo shoot, and the photos are freaking hysterical. And I something you don't know about me is I'm not a lover of the heights, right? I'm not the person who's climbing on a hay bale. I am not a daredevil. If you've been with me to like Cliffs of Moher or in the Aran Islands, when we go up to the cliffs, I stay far away from the edge. But yeah, I got up on that hay bale and then I had to get myself back down, and Jamie's like taking pictures of me getting back down, and I'm like, get over here and make sure my feet are gonna like connect with the what's that called, a ladder, with the ladder, so that I could get down safely. And it actually ended up with like a nice big bruise on my arm. So those will ship out Tuesday, and the pattern will probably go up Thursday morning, I'll bet you, because we normally give it a good 48 hours from shipping to putting the pattern up for people, because even if they land in one day, that's not fair. You just live too close to me. So we're going to say Thursday for that pattern being up, and that pattern will keep you all busy. If you aren't a member of Lola's Choice, I think there are like 5 kits left, maybe less than that. I haven't checked since I got on here, and I had to order ahead of time. The yarn came from Europe, so another piece came from someone in the States that had to get built. So that one's going to sell it pretty quickly. It is my 50th kit, which is very exciting. And I'm going to let club members decide for that kit. I'm going to send them out an email with a little survey, and I'm going to let them decide if they want me to do kits in other colors for that one, or if we should just let it be like really special to club members and that kit was that kit. I'm going to put that one in club members' hands, not in my hands. I want to see what you all think of it first, because it's a good time. I did sit, Susie says I sat in a stone window at a castle, but that was a very safe stone window, Susie. It was not a scary stone window. There was nowhere I was going to fall out of and die. And my prince was like waiting for me right on the other side of that stone window. So that is Lola's Choice. Next up, the Larch slippers, which are the slipper version of Larch Peds, are almost done with tech editing. We had a slow tech editing August Bristol and I went back and forth with some numbers. It is almost ready to go. And I will be posting probably, I would say by Monday or Tuesday, I'll be posting a test call in my Ravelry group. And those of you who are doing the mystery knit along will be in there anyway chatting, and you will see that call. There's 9 sizes. I'm going to try to just do one tester for each size. And then if we run into problems, I'll grab another tester. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to ask that all of the people who want to test the larch slippers have knit the larch peds so that they are familiar with the construction. There are a few things different with the larch slippers than the larch peds that the pattern explains, and I'm hoping that those are ready for launch probably like mid-end October. I think would be a really good time because they're going to be great gift knitting, and we're going to be really rolling into gift knitting by then. The other photo that I showed you is the flip top mittens, and testing for that is done. And I believe that those are going to come out with Lola's 2 timing technique video, probably like end of next week. I'm kind of giving you guys like my schedule right now. I don't mean to stress you out with my schedule, but I do try to be like just a little bit scheduled. And part of what's exciting for me right now is I have all this stuff really nicely lined up. So I can do like promotion, I can share with you and do marketing, and I don't have to worry so much about tech editing, and then I can sew while I'm doing all that other stuff. See, I had a prolific summer. I've been home all summer. It's been fun and prolific, and I really love to get ready for fall and be kind of ready. And I know that there's lots of traveling in fall, and Rhinebeck's coming. Susie from Fiber MacGyver, who's doing those kits, will be at Rhinebeck this year. We did a live on her Instagram last night, and she came on wearing a baby octopus costume that I am totally going to wear at Rhinebeck. I'm going to knit in her booth and wear her little octopus costume. I'm very excited about that. The other things on my needles is the 3rd N Club kit, and that is like halfway knit. I underestimated the amount of time it would take me to learn a new technique for that kit. The N Club is my larger kit club. It has 3 kits a year. Club members have had a very fun year. They're all knitting nostalgia right now, and I'm getting very good reports. Some people are going big, some people are going small. There were 2 different sizes on that one. So this kit is going to ship when I get back from Ireland, and then the pattern will launch like probably after Rhinebeck, I'm guessing, is when that pattern will launch. So people will be like done with their mystery knit along and like ready for their next knit. That is my plan for that. It's not taking me that long to knit now that I'm into it, but once I show club members all of the swatches that I did while I was learning and deciding what to do for the pattern, that's going to be impressive, I think, for y'all. It was weeks of me like knitting and ripping and thinking and waking up in the middle of the night and changing my mind 4 times. Good times. The other thing that is on my needles is the November Spain design, and that I got the yarn from Wool Dreamers. It is looking great, and I think I know I am using that cloche inspiration that I showed you in my last live from Wicked Little Letters. So we're going to go with kind of a clochey hatty thing, which I think will be perfect for Spain in November because I think it's going to be chillier than we anticipate. The other thing on my needles, I'm actually knitting right now while I tell you about it, is the ultimate hat in some new colorways. So the ultimate hat, which I released about a year ago, I would say, with Laxdale yarn, which is 100% Shetland yarn that is absolutely gorgeous. It is, let's see if we can go to the overhead. It is a 2-ply jumper weight yarn that does color work just like absolutely beautifully. So I only did 1 colorway last year when I released the ultimate hat, and I am releasing it in 3 other colors, probably October, November. I think that is going to depend on when the yarn gets here from Shetland and when we can get it wound up. But this is one of the colorways. I have not named it yet. This is definitely my hat. That is my colors. This one is going to have these awesome blues and greens in it, and just like a teeny tiny bit of brown. So I'm just kind of working on the brim right here. And what happens with Ultimate Hat is you work the hat in the round on the right side, and then you actually turn and work in the opposite direction for the color work brim, so that when you fold up the brim and sew it down to the top right here, all of your floats are caught inside, which is pretty brilliant. And as I've been working on these, I totally forgot how much I love to design color work. I feel like I'd need like a whole other kind of career path to just design color work. And I am honestly, I'm not a fast enough knitter to design color work. It takes me a while to knit with fingering weight yarn, and it would take, like, to do a sweater, which I would love to do in that red. I would wear the heck out of that sweater. It would take me years. So sometimes I call these things my retirement knitting. Like, when I retire, maybe I'll make a sweater with the stitch that I have figured out from the Ultimate Hat. You never know. Do you want to do Luceta together? Oh, I see somebody asked about Novus DK. Novus DK is coming. I just have to figure out when to fit it into the schedule. It's all ready to go. So I don't know when. Y'all can tell me. Sometimes the worst, or the part of my job I enjoy the least, is the release and marketing. And so it's why I love the clubs so much, because your clubs kind of let me explore new things, and there's a schedule, and I do so well with the schedule. But Novus DK, I've never really been able to find the right spot in the schedule to just get it out. And maybe I just need to like do it and not worry about it so much. That's a lot of talking. I see people talking about Ultimate Hat in the chat thread while I was kind of catching my breath there. Let's talk about Luceta. So Luceta was a Lola's Choice kit. I'm wearing one right here from like spring or May 2021. So kind of deep in pandemic times when we still weren't leaving our houses, but we really wanted to. And I was trying to find something new to me to keep me excited, and then something also that would be new for club members. And I found out about Lucets and the cord that Lucets made. And I decided to do a deep dive into the Lucet and then teach everybody how to use a Lucet. Katrinkles made these Lucets for me. And last week I released more kits with Lucets in my shop, and you all bought them up like in seconds flat. There's kits left that don't have Lucets in 5 different colors, six different colors now, but there are no Lucets left. So if you're interested in a Lucet, I did order more, and they will be back in stock. But I thought that it would be fun to kind of talk about the difference that the cord makes between making the cordage with a Lucet, making the cordage with knitting needles like I-cord, and then making the cordage with an I-cord tool. And what you can see Luceta is a long kind of lariat style necklace with this very fun kind of beaded wave on the bottom of the necklace, which is, I call these kind of necklaces like art teacher necklaces. This kind of, like, I'm wearing one with a tunic today, and it makes me feel very like kind of funky and fun, and like we could get real creative together. So let's look at the differences. This Luceta right here is made with a Lucet. This Luceta right here is made with knitting needles. So this one is I-cord right here. And if I look really closely at the beads, you can see that the beads are kind of like working their way around the I-cord, and they're working their way on either side of the Lucet cord. This cord is quite tight. It's got like a much tighter gauge, and it's actually square if you look at it closely. And then this is kind of like plump and round. I think it's knit on 2.75 millimeter needles. So they have quite a different look to them. And then the other day I was like, okay, I want to see what happens if I used my I-cord tool. And this was my first swatch, and this is kind of gives you an idea of what, when I'm messing around with something, what things look like. And down here, I was using my standard gauge I-cord tool, and you can see that it's like not very neat. And the biggest thing you can see is that the beads kind of need to sit. I was playing with that one way and I was playing with it another way, but I can't really get the beads to go around the cord. They're just kind of like in between the stitches. What I discovered is I liked the cord much more when I moved to my fine gauge I-cord tool than from my standard gauge I-cord tool. So if you don't know what an I-cord tool is, let's get those suckers in here. I made both of these I-cord tools, and in a previous live, I showed you how to make them. I will link to a blog post below after this live that gives you like all the information about I-cord tools. You can also purchase I-cord tools, and that blog post has links for those as well. So this I-cord tool is a standard gauge I-cord tool. You can see that these hooks are a little bigger. They are hooks from a standard gauge knitting machine. This I-cord tool, you can see that these hooks, if I really like hold them next to each other so you can see them a little bit more closely. This one right here is a fine gauge tool. These needles are from a fine gauge knitting machine, and this is the tool I really liked the cord that this tool makes more. And let me show you how I work with it. I'm actually at a point right now in my cordage where I'm ready to work with a bead. And one of the biggest differences is with Luceta. When you are working with the Lucet, you're placing a bead on a stitch, and the pattern comes with a detailed tutorial of how to do that with the Lucet. In this, to get this to work with the I-cord tool, I needed to pre-string the beads on my yarn so I could just slip them up, and they're basically kind of worked in between the rows. I found the most challenging thing is that Luceta is knit with cotton yarn, and cotton yarn doesn't have like the elasticity that wool yarn has, so it's a little bit stiffer to work with. And I found that like after every row, sometimes what I would do is kind of jimmy down a little bit to loosen things up. And then I wrap the yarn around and I pull it through. If you're interested in working with a Lucet, I have a detailed video on my YouTube channel that shows how to work with the Lucet. And I also have a tutorial that shows how to cast on and bind off and fix mistakes. But the bit of this that I really wanted to show you, because that's pretty easy, that slipping up of the bead, is how to transition from working this end to working into the cordage. So over here on my knitting needles, right here, I have the bottom of Luceta, and I followed in the Luceta pattern on page 3 the instructions for working that bottom wave with the I-cord. So the I-cord one, not with the Lucet, doing it on the knitting needles. And now that I have finished that, what I'm going to do is transfer over to my I-cord tool, which is pretty easy to do. But the first thing I'm going to do is grab this and take that off so that I'm ready to do this. And this transfer, there wasn't any way that I could figure out on how to do this wave with the I-cord tool and have it look similar. So I've got all of my needles on my, I've got all my stitches on my needle, and you'll see that I am turning my work so that the wrong side of that bottom border is facing me. And now I'm gonna put my, my right handmost needle into that stitch and slip it off. And then I am gonna use my middle needle with that next stitch. And then I'm going to put in the last needle into that last stitch, and I've transferred those stitches over. If you try to do that and you aren't on the knitting needle, the stitches end up collapsing and you end up with a bit of a hot mess. So now that you've done that, I'm all set up to just wrap my yarn around, but first I want to make sure all of my stitches are on the far side of those loops. Wrap my yarn around and then pull it through. And the biggest thing here is to just like pull up and wiggle just a teeny tiny bit. You don't want this to get too tight. Otherwise it gets kind of impossible to work and it's no fun. And then the pattern actually has you working plain I-cord for I think like 5.5 inches. I'm not going to do that with you right now. I just really wanted to show you how to do that start. So if you got a Luceta kit and you have an I-cord tool, I wanted to show you how easy it is to follow the pattern and use an I-cord tool instead of using a Lucet and instead of doing I-cord with your knitting needles. Because the I-cord tool, I made this one actually I made on the Lucet, but I made another one like so quickly with the I-cord tool. It was kind of amazing. So I see people in there talking about their Lucetas and that some people said the Lucet didn't really work for them. So maybe this will work instead for you. I know some people had a hard time with that like clockwise, counterclockwise thing. One of the ways I think about it is like towards me and away from me, if clockwise and counterclockwise doesn't speak to you. So please do ask questions about that if you have any. One thing that was kind of fun is while I was finding all of this to show you, I found a Luceta in a bin downstairs. I think this was the original one I did. And if I show it to you under the screen, it's black, which is freaking awesome. And I used like a brass ring right there. And I think I was thinking this was going to be the club kit. And then I realized that black is so hard to see that I was struggling with the stitches, especially when things went wrong, trying to figure out how to fix it. And so I try to stay away from black yarn, especially the first time you're learning something new. So this colorway is not a kit in my shop right now. I mean, it could be in the future if somebody wanted to talk me into it. I just know working with black is so challenging, and but it is a pretty kind of slick, like sophisticated art teacher. Look, if I put that one on, I'll go sophisticated art teacher. You can also hang your glasses on it. If it's a little bit shorter, just kind of put your glasses right there if you need to. If I take these off, I'm blind, so we won't be doing that tonight. Okay, that was Luceta. Let's talk a little bit about travel. So travel-wise, I've got fun stuff coming up this fall. One thing that is pretty exciting for any of you who missed out on spots, unfortunately, a few people had to cancel their spots in the Ultimate Knitting Cruise to South America. So that cruise is March 5th to March 19th, 2025, so next March. We're going from Buenos Aires to Santiago, Chile. It's a 2-week cruise. You can see that we go around Ushuaia and the Strait of Magellan and Cape Horn. We'll go through the Beagle Channel and Glacier Alley. We'll be going to the Falkland Islands and having a penguin experience there. I am very excited for this cruise, and we have 4 spots that just opened up. So if you just go to my blog, which is nelkindesigns.com/blog, you will see the blog post all about the trip. You can read all about it. And then there is a form there that you can fill out and we'll send you more information. I anticipate that those spots will fill pretty quickly because it sold out very quickly. And I know we had some disappointed people. We did try to get in touch with everybody on the waiting list, but people already had plans. So those 4 spots are available. I would love to travel with you. That's an adventure of a lifetime, and the only reason I'm getting to do that is because you all are coming with me and making it possible for me to do that incredible adventure. So that's one thing. And then much closer to home, right around the corner-ish almost from me, I am teaching a DIY I-cord tool making workshop at in Lancaster, actually in Intercourse, Pennsylvania, for Lancaster Yarn Shop. And that is being taught in an Amish schoolhouse that is connected to the public library in Intercourse, Pennsylvania. I will make sure to give you a link below to that. That is happening on September 14th. It is like a 9 to 4 o'clock class. We'll be breaking for a gourmet lunch. And in the morning, we'll be making I-cord tools, and then we'll be learning how to use them and then making jewelry with them. So it's going to be like a all day, really fun, creative, just like be together, make things together. The class includes lunch, supplies to make an I-cord tool, and the jewelry kit. And then I'll bring supplies to make more tools in case you're like want one in the standard and the fine gauge. I have a feeling people are going to want both of them for different reasons. So very excited about that. And my girl is coming with me, which is a blast. And it's kind of funny because on our family calendar, it's on for September 14th for that weekend. It says Intercourse with Mom, which sounds so wrong, but makes me laugh so hard. So she's going to help like man the ovens as these are all baking and make sure that things don't overbake or underbake. Because I get, if you couldn't guess, I get distracted very easily. So I am very good at burning the cookies. I excel at burning cookies. That's all I'm going to say about that. So those are 2 travel bits, lots of other travel coming up this fall. I think the next live that we're going to have is going to be after I come back from Ireland. So I'll get to do a recap of that Ireland trip to the Aran Islands with you all. Let's talk about what else I've been making, because being home like this, we've been getting yard work done. This weekend I am going to vacuum our basement, which is like a Max doesn't even know I'm going to vacuum the basement yet, but we have an old house and we have an old foundation basement with like those short ceilings, and it is just time for it to get like a good fall deep clean before we head into winter. I'm almost excited about vacuuming the basement. Who knew? I feel like not even myself right now. Other things that I've been making is in the sewing land. I made magic pants. Magic pants are by a clothing designer, Tilley, and they are a tailored trouser that have a hidden elastic waistband and stretchy ribbed waist panel. So they have lots of ease and they're super cute. And I read that they were comfortable, but I made these pants. I have a pair up here to show you. They are so comfortable. So this pair right here, it was my muslin. It was like my original ones. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to make them. You'll see that photo that I showed you, that one has D-rings and then a snap. And I decided for mine that I was going to go for a slide buckle because I didn't want to like commit to like where that snap would be to hold them closed. And I'm really glad I did that. But what happens with these pants that's amazing is they have stretch in the back. There's like elastic in the back that kind of, I'm not even sure if you can really see it so well. And it integrates into the front. So they stretch like elastic pants and they have this really yummy give, but the fit is just really sweet and tailored. So here they are as I was working on them. You can see from the pins in the right-hand photo, we ended up taking a bunch of width out of the legs. The legs were just like a little too boxy for me. And then on the left, you can see the ribbed panel that makes them all stretchy. They're almost like basically like maternity pants. So if I open this one up right here on this side, I know you can't see me right now while I'm doing that, but then you can see I drop down. The front has a maternity panel, and I will say my sewing, I think you can almost see it. The next time I make them, I'm actually going to make sure when I do this step that this seam right here comes in a little bit because my panel has stretched out a little bit too much on the top. And while it's straight right here, I think I kind of torqued out as I was sewing it. And I'm going to tuck this in a little bit more and kind of like torque in just to have that not be quite so stretchy. This is a ribbed panel. But what it does is like Max and I went out for dinner the other night. I had a yummy dinner. And normally if I'm wearing what I call hard pants, by the end of a big dinner, I'm not so comfortable in my pants, but these pants just grow. My friend was like, they're Thanksgiving pants. So this first pair of these that I made are a linen rayon. It's called a Brussels linen by Robert Kaufman. And I love them, but they're pretty lightweight, and they're perfect for late summer and like a warm fall evening. And they're going to be fine with leggings underneath them because they have a lot of room. But I really want more in a little bit heavier of a fabric. And I know that a heavier fabric's not going to have like the really incredible drape that those have. But from my friend's shop that I got that swimsuit fabric, Frankie Rose, she just got this fabric and it's not even on her shelves yet. And it's a super stretchy. I'm going to do it actually underneath the camera so you can see it. It's a really stretchy, fine wale corduroy that has somewhat of a drape to it. It's not too stiff. What I'm going to do is not use it for the pockets as well. The pockets, I got some like yarn dyed 100% cotton fabric for the pockets, and then I'll have that rib lining, and I might just taper, sorry, I'll come back to me. I might just taper the leg a little bit more since this won't have the drape of that other fabric. And I think it's going to be the most wearable fall pants. And it goes with everything. It goes with my Cowltopus when I go to do those photos. It goes with my, with the N Club project like super well. So I already know I'm going to style that project with these pants. And those will get cut out this weekend. Yay, exciting. And then the other thing that I have been making this summer are some mosaic pots with my friend Denise in her garage/mosaic studio. So Denise runs mosaic classes in the summertime because her garage doesn't have like super comfortable heating. I think she can do up to like a little bit on the heating. And so I made a huge pot for my lemon tree that Bella gave me because it needs a bigger pot. And these photos show you that pot kind of before and after grouting. So on the left-hand side, those yellow pieces of ceramic are actually like my childhood dinner plates that I had saved. And on the right-hand side, we chose like a really dark grout, so you can see how much it's changed with the grouting. So that's just been a really fun, creative evening. It's like been 1 or 2 evenings a week in August. And mosaic is so fun because it's so different than knitting. You're just like smashing stuff up, and I refuse to have a plan. I just like go for it. And then when I run out of one color, I switch over to another color, and I'm like incredibly not uptight about the whole creative process because I have to be so like measured and focused when I'm doing knit design, especially when I'm trying not to run out of yarn or make sure that, you know, a color is going to do as much as I want it to do before I go on to the next color. And the mosaicing, I mean, it's holding a plant that's going to be really happy. So that's been really fun to do. One thing I forgot to show you is the goodies that come with the Cowltopus kits. So I want to do that quickly, although you will see them in tomorrow's video. They're just so good. We made stitch markers for you. I found these really awesome tentacle charms. And so everybody is going to get a tentacle stitch marker in their kit. We also worked with Jillian from Wee Ones again, and she made us octopus stitch markers. So I know I said that there are 8 different colors of kits. There are 4 different colors of stitch markers. So if you order more than one kit, you will get 2 different color stitch markers in your kit. And then Jillian always sends a tiny little note that's like sealed with wax, and I've not opened it yet. I've been waiting to open my little note from her. Isn't that cute? It's got like a little stamp. So I'm so in love with these little stitch markers. They're adorable. The other extras that are coming in your kits is a sticker from Shelly Can that says "Get Crackin'," which is just freaking awesome. And then a holographic sticker of our logo for Cowltopus with information about Cowltopus on the back. So those are the extra little goodies that are coming in those kits from Susie. Here's the final thing. My favorite, these really cute octopus end stoppers. Because I don't know about you, but I don't think 2 years ago I had end stoppers, and now I have end stoppers everywhere. I got sushis, I got gnomes, I use them all the time. These are gonna go right on to my hat that I'm working on, so those stitches don't come flying off of those needles. So get cracking just means like get into it, get started. Susie, like get cracking, like CRACKIN with, I guess you could put a G on it if you're going to be like get cracking. In Irish, if you say it's a lot of crack, that's a lot of fun, but that's CRAIC, so that's a different one altogether. There's a complete aside. I already showed you the bag that I'm going to sew. We already talked about the swimsuit. So the last few things are kind of what I've been listening and reading and watching. I have been saving all of my octopus listening and reading and watching to do with you all, and I'll be sharing all of those reads and listens with you soon. I saw some people were talking about there's a National Geographic movie that just came out about octopuses. I've waited to watch that as well, and it looks really, really beautiful. I have been listening to All Fours by Miranda July. That is an adult book, so don't listen to it with little ears around. And the New York Times actually just wrote up an article about it a few weeks ago. I'm on the fence about it. So it is about a woman going through her change of life, kind of like entering the next phase of her life from being like a 30, 40 something, kind of like into her perimenopausal years, and she's kind of blowing up her life a little bit and like looking for sexuality in other places and kind of wanting it all, like wanting her family unit to stay the same, but kind of also like wanting to do these explorations. I'm finding it a tiny bit depressing. I have as I listen to it, I've not had any kind of like yearning, like I feel like blowing up my life. So that's nice to know. But I feel like I should say that about All Fours. It's very well written and the character development is very interesting, but it might totally resonate for you or it might not, but been reading that. Listening to that. What I had been reading, and I finished reading it the other night at 3 a.m, is a book by Kristin that was written maybe in 2012 or 2011, and I thought I had read all of her books, but I had never read The Magic Hour, and it was riveting. More riveting than her books. I'm used to her books being a little bit more of like a research deep dive with a storyline that keeps it moving forward, but they're kind of like they've got this kind of historical fiction element to them. And Magic Hour was all about this kind of wild girl who is found in a small town in the Pacific Northwest who seems to have kind of like grown up with the wolves. They're not really quite sure what. And it's the discovery of what her journey was through the eyes of a child psychologist who grew up in this small town. So she's one of my favorite authors too, and it was very fun to find a book of hers, but it was so riveting, and I typically am not allowed to read books like that. I typically listen to books like that because I listen during the day, and I need my reading at night to like just put me to sleep. So I had some late nights, and it was fun. It was great. Highly suggested if you haven't read or listened to that one. And then watching wise, I haven't been doing as much watching as usual. Last week, I watched the Democratic National Convention. For those of you who watched that, I had never watched Roll Call before. I understand that roll call was the most lively roll call in the history of the Democratic National Convention. There was a DJ. There was just joy. It just had so much joy, and I really enjoyed watching the DNC. That took up all of last week in the evenings. I watched it every night. And then in between that, I started watching Savage Beauty on Netflix, which is set in South Africa. My friend Gigi was watching it and she told me about it, and I was like, I'm going to check that out. And I can only describe it as like a South African Succession. So if you liked Succession, you might like Savage Beauty. I totally completely into it. I have like 5 or 6 more episodes to go. I've been kind of like doling them out to myself and not overindulging to make it last a little while. There's 2 seasons right now, so it's probably about like 20 episodes total for those of you who like a big long watch like I do. Eating wise, I'm still on my gluten-free experience. That is what it is. I have found things I'm liking to eat. Max and I went to Moosewood the other night in Ithaca. So for those of you who don't know, I live in Ithaca, New York, which is the home of the Moosewood restaurant, which is a famous vegetarian restaurant from the 60s, and it is still around. And for many years, we didn't go there because we felt like we could cook everything we ate there at home. But it got bought by one of the daughters of the original co-op owners, I think last year, and they totally redid it. And we'd been hearing great things, so we went, and it was awesome. And so if you're ever in Ithaca, I used to not suggest it when people came to Ithaca. I'd be like, yeah, you can make that at home with the right amount of salt. You'll be fine. But now if you come to Ithaca, I highly suggest checking out Moosewood. I love their ginger tea. I didn't have it this time, but in the fall, they have this yummy hot ginger tea that's like a little bit citrusy and a little bit sweet, and it's so freaking good. Yay, Moosewood. It was really yummy, and I got to eat gluten-free, which I really enjoy. I get to announce the winner from last time and then tell you all what I would love to know from you for next time. But before I do that, if you have any questions, throw them into the chat. I am just kind of scrolling through quickly, and then I will... Right, I saw that Novus DK question. Susie, you asked me a question. You're not supposed to do that in the chat. You got me. Sherry said I should paint an octopus on a hay bale. I am not a very good painter. Have you ever seen anything that I have painted? Lola is very busy. When she's home for a while. Gives you an idea of what it's like to live with me. Oh, someone just said that Only Murders in the Building has a new season out. So I will add that to my list of things to watch. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in. So the winner of last month's Mystery Knit Along is going to win a kit to knit Cowltopus. I have this kit, and the winner is Christy Schlesinger, 7245. She said, I've done 3 of Laura's mystery knit-alongs, and Flola was my favorite. This is the curled kit, and it is going to make an absolutely gorgeous fall-themed Cowltopus. So Christy, get in touch with me so that I can send this kit out to you. Do you like my good way of like showing you like one more kit that you hadn't seen yet? There's still a few that you haven't seen that will be up tomorrow. So make sure you're on my newsletter list. I will, hey Christy, you're there. Yay, you. Email me, okay? I love when the person's here who is the winner. I think that the next live is going to be October 9th. Because October 2nd, which is a Wednesday, I get back from Ireland on that Monday. And normally when I am getting over jet lag, I'm like in bed by 7. So I can't imagine being ready to do a live for you. And the first clue is coming out on the 3rd. So I think I'm going to stay focused. I'll be up very early. It's a very good time to be jet lagged for launching a mystery knit along because I will be up early and raring to go to launch that clue on the 3rd. Jet lag Lola would be unstoppable. It's true. So I'm thinking the next live is going to be October 9th. And I'm going to bring back a present from Ireland as your prize. So I cannot show it to you because I have not purchased it. I love going shopping for you when I am traveling. So some present is coming back with me from Ireland or the Aran Islands. And what I would love to know, not in the chat, but in the body of the video, so you have to wait for me to say goodbye, tell me a book that you have read recently. It could be a newer book, it could be an older book, but one that you have read and loved. As you know, I read a lot, but I'm actually looking for a book or two. It can't be too exciting. No murder mysteries for Lola. Keep it mellow. I like a romance, not always into fantasy. I like a great historical fiction, memoir fiction. Don't leave that here. Leave that as soon as we say goodbye to each other. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this all made sense. I hope you learned something tonight. If nothing else, you learned it's okay to say octopuses, octopi, and octopods. So we will go with that tonight. Happy knitting, everybody.